In this tutorial I will show you how to set up Visual Studio to get up and running with SolidWorks. This video is currently been made in 2020. It's actually February, and the old one was made in February 2018, so it's pretty much 2 years ago. And stuff has happened since then, but I just checked it and it's a very similar procedure, and I've seen that I got some comments on my previous videos how to set this stuff up. I just assumed that people knew how to do it, but apparently there's some details that could be explained better. There's a difference between the Visual Basic for applications and having a full-fledged Visual Studio. And yeah, so you can do much more stuff in Visual Studio than you can do in the VBA. Just go to downloads and grab the one of the versions for Visual Studio 2019. So I'm gonna grab the Community Edition here. So I hit download and I launch the installer, which will appear anytime now. So what you need, unless you're going to develop a bunch of other things, the only thing you need is the .NET Desktop development. That includes C# and Visual Basic and F# and some .NET Core stuff here. So we will be using Visual Basic, but you can also use C#. It doesn't really matter. It all gets compiled into the same .NET soup at the end. So it's either way works. You can use the language which you prefer here. So we're going to grab that and just use all of this stuff by default. Doesn't really matter. The only thing I'm going to do is to change my file, my location. I want this to be installed in my faster SSD. So I'm going to do that and hit install, and this is going to take some minutes. Alright, so after a short time, this has been installed and you're greeted by this welcome sign here. Now I'm not gonna sign in, I'm not bothered with that. So you can be nice to your eyes and switch to dark mode, and it's going to launch Visual Studio in a minute, or a few minutes, or a minute. Yeah, so now we can continue without code, and it's going to maximize this window for me here, which I don't want, so let me just resize this, and we have a vanilla installation of Visual Studio. So now let's get up and running, because this is the 2019 version. Surely something has changed. So we can do file and do new, can do a new project here, and here we have C# and then we have Visual Basic. So we're going to do Visual Basic console application and do next. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep it as it is. Let's call this test. Yeah, just do test 1 or something here and create. All right, so there we go. Let's try to increase this a little bit so you can see this better in 1080p. So this is what we have. The behavior is slightly different. I mean, if you run this, really it's not gonna open the window and shut it down directly. It's actually, it actually stops here because this is running as a debug option. Yeah, so this is kind of nice. And now let's add some SolidWorks API to this. So we will do that in the dependencies here. Believe previously this was called references. So you can still right click and add references here. You go down to browse and browse. And now we have to find our SolidWorks installation file. And I mean, if you don't know where it is, which I didn't know, I just looked for SolidWorks, took my executable, went to properties, and I can see here where the shortcut is pointing to. So that's in the program files, SolidWorks Corp and SolidWorks and API and redist, and there we go. So we're gonna grab the SolidWorks DLL and the SV const, which includes all the constants. It's good to have the constants. And okay, so they are now included here, and we can import them. So imports solidworks.interop.solidworks and imports solidworks.interop.svconst. So that's it. Now we can we can do the business. You can just continue now where I left off, but let's see if this works for completion's sake. So we do console.writeLine. I'm really out of shape in my coding. And let's do launching, if I can spell right, launching SolidWorks standby. And then we do dim app as SLDWorks is equal to create object, and then we have the object SolidWorks dot application. Yeah, seems right. And to actually show something, so it's going to create the app but doesn't do anything, so we need to bring it, we have to turn on the visibility true. So that's the easiest thing we can do. And once this is done, we can do console.writeLine done, and that's pretty much it. So I mean, okay, so if you run this as a release, then you won't have this stopping on you. So we can do console.readKey just to make sure that it actually waits for user input. So let's try this out. So it's launching, it's waiting, and there we go. SolidWorks is up and running, 2019 version of it. So yeah, so now you can just pick up from the rest of the tutorial series, knowing that it still works with Visual Studio 2019. All right, see you later.